mean, going into that final against Louth as well, like, was it a weird situation going into the game as well, like a weird feeling, given the fact that, you know, it was Meath's first Leinster final in 9 years, and they were overwhelming favourites, I suppose, because they were playing Louth, who, you know, hadn't won a Leinster title in, you know, 50 to 60 odd years. So do you think that weighed on you a bit as well? Because obviously, you know, I think it's fair to say that probably neither side really, you know, produced their best football on the day when you look back at the game. So do you think that pressure was kind of there a little bit going into that final?
I don't know if there was pressure, to be honest. We were very focused, like, and everyone might think, oh, with the way we performed. But if I look back at the game, the full game again in the last 4 months, and it's the first time I did do it. And when you actually look back at it, we were only behind coming in for the first time in the second half. Like, we were dominating the game. We even not playing well, you know. And people might say Louth played better than us. They deserved to win the game. They did, obviously. With the position they were in, with a couple of minutes to go, they probably should have won the game. That's I'm not taking that away. But on the overall scheme of the game, we should have won the game. And you look back at it, we were ahead, we were dominating. You know, we made a lot of mistakes, we kicked a lot of wides, and we made a lot of silly decisions that we probably wouldn't have made. And maybe it's because we thought it would have maybe been easier. I don't know what it was, maybe subconsciously, whatever it was, but it was literally the day the two of us didn't perform overly well, but we probably should have won the game anyway. From if you take a look, overall view of the whole game and how the game panned out, and how much possession we had, the scores we had, the chances that we had that we didn't take, and look, Louth played better than us, but that doesn't say they should have won the game either, if you know what I mean. And then look, yeah, it was just obviously a horror show the way things finished up. We just obviously threw everything we could at them, and we got the goal in the end, and it's an absolute heartbreak for Louth players and Louth fans at the time. But it's obviously it was nothing premeditated in what I done. It was obviously just trying to get a goal as quick as possible and in whatever way possible, and that was literally me not being able to throw the ball and kick it. And that was simple as that. If I kicked the ball as I went to do, we wouldn't even be talking about it, you know. So it's and it was probably an inch or so away from a foot. It was 100 mile an hour, lads jumping, kicking your head, trying to score a goal, and that's the way it ended up. And it was unfortunate, but it was it was. Look, it still is. It's hard to look back on it because, you know, we didn't even get to celebrate it. We didn't even get to actually enjoy it the way we should have done it as a Leinster Championship that we hadn't won in 9 years since 2001, and that's a hard one to take. And it was literally just threw under the rug and says, right, we'll forget about that one and move on and wait till next year. And that's the way it was seen. And even some of our own players would see it as something that they wouldn't, you know, be proud of, and they wouldn't sort of say we won a Leinster Championship. But I don't see it that way. A lot of stuff happens on the football pitch and has happened in games that would have created another scenario, another outcome in the game. And it's just football, and it's sport in general. There's a lot of things that happen, and you just have to try and sort of move on from it and try and do better next time.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, and I suppose I'd say it was kind of a mad moment for yourselves as Meath players as well. Like, when a lot of fans kind of started storming the pitch, and the referee had to be, you know, escorted off by the Gardaí. Like, I'd say that was kind of quite a situation that you probably never expected yourself to be in, and you know, I can't imagine that was, you know, pleasant in any way.
No, and we didn't see much of that, to be fair. There was a bit of scuffling with the players after, but then everyone sort of shook hands and moved on. And we didn't see much of what happened with the ref or the fans, because a lot of the people, we were calling off pretty quick. So it was only afterwards we were hearing stories of what happened and this and that. Sean Boylan got punched, and you know, it did stuff that shouldn't have happened, and it's unfortunate it did. And sport creates high emotions, especially in that sort of situation. And it's there's no excuse for it, to be honest. And there's a lot of people that are probably regret what they done on the day. And look, it happens, but you can't bring yourself to do that stuff. And allow you to sort of abuse people and some of the actions that happened that day, and it's unfortunate. But look, we're not going to dwell on it, and it happened, and we've just got to accept it. And thankfully, the GAA stepped in and have probably made decisions and protocol that won't allow that to happen again. So, which is good.
Yeah, I think the whole pitch invasions thing, I think very much was ended pretty much after that. And absolutely, like at the end of the day, it is just a sport, and I think it definitely doesn't call for any abuse or any kind of violence like what we've seen after that game. And I suppose like obviously there was a lot of talk as well about there being a replay, and at one stage it looked like there might be a replay on the cards. Like, do you think it was a good decision in the end that there was no replay? Or do you look back and think, maybe we should have just played them again, and then maybe, the Leinster title wouldn't have been, I suppose, tainted with that memory, I suppose?
Yeah, look, I don't think there should have been a replay, and never do, no matter what happens. No matter what game it was, if it was Meath involved, if it wasn't Meath involved. It's just the way I see the game. And I would always see the game. Even if it happened to us, I would see it that way as well. And I know it's easy for me to say that because you're on the opposite side of the fence, but it's happened to me in other games, in club games and stuff like that. So I can see both sides of it, but I don't think the GAA wanted it either. The GAA sort of subtly told us there was going to be no replay. So we were sort of hung out to dry as a county board and a team, especially, that it was left on our heads to make a decision. And it was it wasn't great. Like, the GAA just should have come out and said this isn't happening, and that's what they sort of said to us, and we had to sort of come out and make the announcement, and then it was put on the players, to be honest, which wasn't great. But look, usually the players are the ones to take the fall for most things, and it's never going to change. And it was unfortunate, but look, we're big enough to make decisions, and we'll stand by it. So.
Yeah, like I suppose at the end of the day, like, I mean, it was the referee's fault in many ways, like, in many respects, and the umpires, like, they probably should have made the right decision. And look, listen, everyone's, human at the end of the day. Everyone makes mistakes, and these things happen, unfortunately. Like, obviously you've opened up, in the senior interview on the Sunday game, where you talked about a lot of the different abuse you got, like, because of that goal. Like, how hard was that to deal with, I suppose? And I suppose, like, if anyone was ever in that kind of situation again, and hopefully not, like, what kind of advice maybe would you give to them to, I suppose, deal with that?
Yeah, and look, there's a lot of stuff, not just to me. There was other players that got it as well. There was obviously everyone involved, and I was probably took the brunt of it. And there was a lot of stuff that was thrown my way. And to be honest, I'm lucky enough. I have a thick skin, and I've probably had a lot of abuse over the years, just in general, like fans and, supporters and stuff like that. And you just try and get on with it and move on. There was, like, it was hard for my mother at the time, seeing some of the stuff. But look, it's not stuff that should be done. I was lucky enough the GPA helped me out a lot. They spoke to me, they reached out to me. I have a very good sort of family background that sort of helped me, mother and father, brothers and sisters that would sort of help me along the way if there was you're in a tough decision and how to deal with these things. And I would see it as just football at the end of the day. It's a sport. I never got overly sort of attached to a win or a loss. I always had a downtime. I always put it into perspective on what was important in life. Sport is great. Football is great. But at the end of the day, it is only that, and you've got to look at the bigger picture as well. And look, it took a lot for people to write some of the stuff that was sent out to me, to be fair. And like, you'd imagine that if you actually tried to do it again, you wouldn't be able to write it again. But it's you can't stop it, to be honest. People are going to have that opinion. People are going to be able to do that, and especially with social media these days, it's harder now for lads because there's so much access to people. Back in the day, I got letters. I got a Facebook message, and I was clearing out a couple of months ago, just clearing out all the crap on your phone and stuff. And I remember I still got messages from random people saying this stuff, that stuff, and it was funny, like, it was laughable when you look back at it. But yeah, like, especially as you're saying, like with the social media these days, it's so much harder for players, you know, because it's instant access on Twitter. You get it, you know, people can literally lambasia out on Twitter without any ramifications, and people think they're allowed to do this, you know, and they think it's normal. Like it's and the one thing I would have a problem with is like people see GA players as, you know, professional athletes. You know, they see us in that sphere as, oh, we can say whatever you want to, but you'll meet us on the street and you won't say hello to us. You know, you won't say a word to us because it's all behind the screen, it's all behind the keyboard. And it's easy for people to do that. You know, you prefer someone come up to you face to face, say, look, I don't think you played well today, you done this, blah, blah, blah. It's, and, you know, it's probably something that I know the county teams deal with it and try and obviously keep as little interaction on social media as possible. But lads have to have a life as well. Lads enjoy social media, and lads, you know, it's a bit of crack as well, and you have to take it for what it is. And if you don't take it too serious and sort of open your mind to what's going on here, and actually, right, look at the bigger picture and say, right, how important is this, and try and get rid of it. You can do that as well. But like there is a lot of supports out there with the GPA, even in the county setups these days, that can sort of help along that way. So look, if lads are going through any of that, it's tough. And I'm probably lucky that sort of stuff doesn't affect me that much. It affects other players completely the opposite way and would have a tough time on them. And you've got to reach out and sort of, you know, take it for what it is, to be honest, because these people, you're out there actually putting yourself out there, your whole life really, to what people can see, and people can comment and do whatever they wish and just sneak back into the little hole and do whatever they want. But at the end of the day, you're out there, you're making your family proud, you're making your county club proud, and hold your head up high, because, you know, no one has the right to abuse you and sort of literally put your head on it, stick and start beating the hell out of you, because it's just not right. So, you know.